Hey everyone, it's Anna and Tucker, and we hope you're having a great day today. Today we're going to be talking about a bit of a hot button issue, and that is banned books. Why are books banned? Why are banned books good to read anyways? And the top 25 most banned books over the last few decades. So we're talking from the 1990s through today. There's a lot of classics on this list. There's several surprises, or books that I found surprising anyways, and several books that you would actually expect to be on this list. All right, so banned books. Let's talk about it. Why are books banned? Why are they censored? Why are they challenged? Usually, there are concerns regarding the topic or the content of the book and worries about inappropriate themes for various age groups. A lot of banned books in the United States anyways have to deal with books that are banned from public school libraries, so not necessarily the general public. And of course, in the United States, anyone can publish or print anything that they would like. And so when we talk about banned books, we're talking in more specific terms. Censorship is often a reflection of societal fears and the biases of the time. So I noticed as I dug further and further back, there are a handful of books that are commonly banned every single decade, every single year. They make it to the top of the list. And so why? Well, a lot of times these books are dealing with controversial topics through a mode of fiction, which is easier for people to identify with. Banned books are a testament to the power of ideas and the threat that they pose to the established norms. So books, introduce us to these brand new worlds. They give us thoughts about things we never would have thought about before. They expose us to different portions of life that we may not be familiar with, but that would work to expand our worldview, maybe change the way we feel about things, and maybe want to challenge what society has decided is the norm. And so you'll find a common theme throughout all of these books is that they all push societal norms. They all have ideas that scare people. They all have pieces that might inspire a person, a group, a generation to change how things are done. And for some people, that is really scary to think about. And so you get these challenges, these book bans, because people don't want children exposed to what they feel is inappropriate. But what one parent thinks is inappropriate, another one thinks is perfectly fine for their child. And what one person thinks is inappropriate for just anyone in general, other people share other opinions. And then we end up with this list of banned books. It may seem like if a book is banned, it means it's a bad book in some way. But I think you'll find that the books that are on this list are really not bad books. There aren't any evil books. There aren't any books that I feel like have any dangerous messages or anything like that. And many of these books are very, very, very popular to read. In fact, like a third of these books made my 25 classics you should read in 2025 list that I did in a different video. And so it's interesting to see what people think is a dangerous book and shouldn't be out for the general public. Okay, so let's talk about the numbers. How did I come up with the list? The list is compiled from data that's provided by the American Library Association on their website. They have a series of top 100 most frequently challenged books of a decade. And so they've got a list for the 1990s, they've got a list for the early 2000s, and they've got a list for the most recent decade up through 2019. Additionally, they have individual top 10 lists for most of those years, including the years 2020 to 2023, which is the latest year they have data for it. So what I did was I went through and I found the common books between all three decades, and there are several. And then I included any additional mentionings of them in recent top 10 lists, which there are a few mentions. And so we're talking about a span of 33 years. And so the books that are on the top of the list are books that appeared on each decade list and also potentially in the last few years on a top 10 list. Then what I did was I took their various rankings and I averaged them out, and then I ordered them based on the average ranking. These lists change considerably with each decade, and then again, the top 10 changes each year. But there are many overarching themes that are consistent over the last almost 4 decades at this point. Fears around showcasing too much violence, profanity, offensive language, religious viewpoints, the occult, ideas surrounding a departure from heteronormative relationships. These are common themes of books that have been challenged and banned. So traditionally, most book bans and challenges in the US anyways are related to public school libraries and book usage in various curriculums, and they're at the district level. Parents, school staff, or people in the local community file a complaint about a book that they don't like to the local school board, and then the local school board decides whether or not to ban the book or discontinue using it from a curriculum, something like that. And so then it takes away access that children at school might have to these particular books. But an interesting statistic that I found from the ALA website is that in 2023, there was a 92% increase in book challenges that were focused on censorships at public libraries. Not public school libraries, just your local run-of-the-mill library that we all have access to. So the difference here is that public school libraries just affect the school libraries themselves. But book bans or challenges that have to do with books that are at local libraries affect the entire local population, children and adults. It is censoring that book or that material from everyone in the community. So that doesn't mean that it can't be sold by your local Target or Barnes & Noble or anything like that, although those businesses may choose not to sell those books. That's always possible. But local libraries in the US are a really big source where people can go and get books. They can borrow them. They don't have to have any money. It's all free, and they can be the most well-read person on the planet without having any sort of budget at all. And so when you ban these books, censor these books from public libraries, it is saying no way to everyone in the community who might not be able to afford the same book at Barnes & Noble. In some cases, books aren't being outright banned, but they are disappearing from shelves or quietly being moved to restricted or limited access areas and kind of not being advertised in public libraries that that's what they're doing. As an example, when I was looking for books to check out for my classics video a couple weeks ago, I found that one of the books in the list, which also has made the banned book list, had been listed in the library system online at some of the library locations as pulled from circulation, and there was no reason given. I was able to find that book at one library, and there's 10 or 12 libraries in my local library system, and it had been pulled from all but 2 with no reason given. So when I get to that book on this list, I will point out which book I had a little trouble finding. But that's just an example of not an outright book ban, but pulling a book from circulation or putting it in a different area, making it a lot harder for people to find. So now that I've explained a little bit about why books are banned, how that comes about, at least in the United States anyways, although there are book bans in other countries as well, and a couple on my list have been banned in another country, and I'll point that out. Let's get into my ranked list of banned books. There are 3 that I want to start with, and these are honorable mention books. So they're not officially on my list, but they would have made the top 25 if I had chosen to include them. The reason I didn't is because they're children's books, and they're books that adults are not very likely to pick up. And so I excluded them from the list, but because one of them ranks actually quite highly, or would have, I wanted to include them just very briefly here to point them out. The first honorable mention is It's Perfectly Normal by Robbie Harris. This book would have ranked 3rd on the list of top 25. It's a nonfiction novel about changing bodies and growing up. And the main reason it was banned is because people felt it was too explicit. The next honorable mention is And Tango Makes Three by Justin Richardson and Peter Parnell. This book would have ranked 20th. It's a children's picture book about a non-traditional penguin family. This book tops all the decades lists, really, ever since it was published, and it's because it features a same-sex relationship with the penguins. And the last honorable mention is the Captain Underpants series by Dave Pilkey. This series would have ranked 21st on the list. It's about two fourth grade boys who create their own comic books about a superhero named Captain Underpants. And it's been banned because it's perceived as encouraging disruptive behavior and is anti-family. Okay, so let's get into the list. Now, usually I give lists from number 1 to number whatever. This time I'm gonna do a countdown. So we're gonna start with number 25 and we're gonna work our way all the way down to the number 1 banned book over the last 3.5 decades. And I think the number 1 book will surprise you a lot. It surprised me significantly. I was really shocked. Okay, so number 25 on this list is My Brother Sam is Dead by James Lincoln Collier and Christopher Collier. This is a book about a boy torn between his brother and his father during the American Revolution. His brother is a revolutionary and his father and himself are redcoats, the British. This book has been banned due to use of profanity, exposure to violence, and the potential for unpatriotic portrayal of the war. Number 24 is the entire Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. This was actually the top banned book in the early 2000s. It topped the list from 2000 to 2009, and then it died off, and it made a resurgence again in the top 10 list in 2019 for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. You go many years with a very popular book, and then it drops off, and then it comes back all of a sudden. It's kind of odd. But in case you're not familiar, the Harry Potter series is about a boy who discovers that he is a wizard. When he is 11, he goes to wizarding school, and a battle between good and evil ensues. Harry Potter has been banned because of its use of magic and witchcraft. It features real spells and characters that use nefarious means to attain goals. Number 23 on the list is The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. This book is about an African-American teenage girl caught between two worlds, the poor neighborhood she lives in and the fancy suburb prep school where she attends. Her world is shattered when she witnesses an unarmed childhood best friend become unalived by a police officer. This book is one of the more recent challenges. It hasn't been around quite as long. It was written in the 2000s at some time, but it has made the top 10 lists a few times in the last couple of years. And it's banned due to its use of profanity, violence, and promoting an anti-police agenda. Number 22 on the list is The Bridge to Terabithia by Catherine Patterson. Join Jess and Leslie as they form an unlikely friendship and create the imaginary land of Terabithia. There, they rule as king and queen until a terrible tragedy occurs that helps Jess understand just how much he has learned from Leslie. This book is banned due to references to the occult and offensive language. Number 21 on the list is Forever by Judy Blume. Forever is a YA novel about first relationships, first love, and your first time. This book is banned because of offensive language and claims of it being too explicit. Number 20 on the list is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. This book is a story of what it's like to grow up in high school. More intimate than a diary, Charlie's letters are singular and unique, hilarious and devastating. We may not know where he lives. We may not know to whom he is writing. All we know is the world he shares. Caught between trying to live his life and trying to run from it, it puts him on a strange course through uncharted territory. The world of first dates, family dramas, and new friends. The world of sex, drugs, and the Rocky Horror Picture Show, where all you need is that perfect song on that perfect drive to feel infinite. This book is banned due to being too explicit, use of profanity, and substance abuse. Number 19 on the list is Alice, which is a series by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor. The series is about a girl who lost her mother at an early age and is transitioning from an awkward teen into a young woman. She finds a role model in someone very surprising. This series of books is banned due to nudity, offensive language, religious viewpoint, and descriptions of starting your cycle. Number 18 on the list is Looking for Alaska by John Green. This book chronicles the indelible impact one life can have on another. It's been banned or challenged because it's too explicit and may encourage experimentation, if you know what I mean. Number 17 on the list is The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. This is a heartbreaking yet funny story about a boy living on the Spokane Indian Reservation who wants to break free from the life he was destined to live. It's been banned due to its use of profanity, being too explicit, and its religious viewpoint. Number 16 on the list is The Chocolate War by Robert Cormier. It's a chilling portrait of an all-boys prep school that casts an unflinching eye on the pitfalls of conformity and corruption in our most elite cultural institutions. This book has been banned due to offensive language, being too explicit, unsuited to the age group, and references to nudity. Number 15 on the list is a book called Bless Me Ultima by Rodolfo A. Anaya. It's a coming-of-age classic that follows a young boy as he questions his faith and beliefs after a curandera woman introduces herbs and magic into his life. It's been banned due to references to the occult, offensive language, and a different religious viewpoint. Coming in at number 14 on this list is a series of books that might surprise you. I don't know, I thought Harry Potter was surprising. So this series of books was equally surprising, and that is the Goosebumps series by R.L. Stine. These are just two of the novels. Let's see, I have in my hand The Abominable Snowman of Pasadena and Goosebumps Most Wanted, Zombie Halloween. These books have been banned due to references to the occult and being too scary for children. I seem to remember most of my friends loving the Goosebumps series and not being like overly scared. My daughter was super into it when she was a little bit younger. Those are her books actually. And so I don't know about this one. Number 13 on the list is a very popular classic book to be banned, and that is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. It's a book about a dystopian future where environmental disasters and declining birth rates lead to a second American Civil War and the rise of the Republic of Gilead, a totalitarian regime. This book is banned due to profanity, vulgarity, and explicit overtones. Number 12 on the list is Fallen Angels by Walter Dean Myers. It's a coming-of-age tale for young adults set in the trenches of the Vietnam War in the late 1960s. This book has been banned due to offensive language, racism, and violence. Number 11 on this list is also the book I had a little trouble finding through my local library system, and that is Beloved by Toni Morrison. This book is about a woman who was born as a slave but escaped to Ohio, and 18 years later she's still haunted by her baby who died nameless and whose tombstone is engraved with a single word, beloved. This book has been banned due to being too explicit, offering a different religious viewpoint, and violence. And now we're into our top 10. So number 10 on this list is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. This is another very popular classic to recommend. I actually read this in high school, so this book was not banned in my high school district. But this book is about a government who has total control over its people, who are genetically bred and pharmaceutically anesthetized to passively serve a ruling order. This book is banned due to insensitivity, nudity, racism, and offering a different religious viewpoint. This book is also banned in Ireland, just to let you know. Number 9 on the list is I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. This is a memoir about the longing of lonely children, the brutal insult of bigotry, and the wonder of words that can make the world right. It's been banned for being too explicit. Number 8 on the list is The Giver by Lois Lowry. It's about a 12-year-old boy who lives in a seemingly idyllic world, Not until he is given his life assignment as the receiver does he begin to understand the dark secrets behind his fragile community. This book is banned due to violence, sexual references, and unaliving. Number 7 on the list is The Color Purple by Alice Walker. This book depicts the lives of African American women in early 20th century rural Georgia. It's also been made into at least one movie. I think there's a recent movie that came out as well. This book is banned due to offensive language, being too explicit, and generally being unsuited to the age group. Number 6 on the list is a favorite of mine, and that is The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. The Catcher in the Rye is a book about a 16-year-old boy who is coming of age, who doesn't feel like he quite fits into this world. He uses a lot of colorful language. He has a lot of very interesting thoughts. It's a very good book, but it's been banned due to the very colorful language, which is offensive to a lot of people, being too explicit, and again, being unsuited to the age group. I also read this in high school, so this was not banned in my high school district, but it's probably banned in a lot of other ones. Number 5 on this list is another favorite classic book of mine that I'm actually rereading right now, and that is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. This book is one of the best love stories of all time and has been translated into more than 40 languages, sold more than 40 million copies worldwide, and served as the basis for an enormously popular motion picture. It was voted one of the best novels of the 20th century by librarians across the country. Top 5 banned book. It's a gripping, heart-wrenching, and wholly remarkable coming-of-age tale in the South, poisoned by virulent prejudice. It views a world of great beauty and savage inequities through the eyes of a young girl, as her father, a crusading local lawyer, risks everything to defend a black man unjustly accused of a terrible crime. And so, as you can imagine, with a book taking place in the South, this book is generally banned due to racial slurs and violence. Number 4 on the list is a great American classic, Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. This is the follow-up novel to The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, and so in this one, Huckleberry Finn runs off, he's floating down the river, and decides that he's not into society life. He wants to be out on his own. This book is banned due to racism. Number 3 on the list is a book that I have not read and had actually never heard of before I started compiling this list, but it appears to be one of the most controversial books on this list after having done a little research. It is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. So if you're paying attention, Toni Morrison has shown up twice now on this list, her books being very controversial. The Bluest Eye is about an 11-year-old African-American girl in an America whose love for its blonde, blue-eyed children can devastate all others. And she prays for her eyes to turn blue. This book is generally banned for being too explicit in several different ways. I can't really be any more specific here because I don't want to get in trouble with the YouTube censors by saying the wrong words, but you should look it up and see what that book is about. Number 2 on this list was a little bit surprising to me, but I do know that there are people that have a lot of issues with this book. It is Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. An intimate portrait of 2 men who cherish the slim bond between them and the dream they share in a world marred by petty tyranny, misunderstanding, jealousy, and callousness. Clinging to each other in their loneliness and alienation, George and his simple-minded friend Lenny dream, as drifters will, of a place to call their own. A couple of acres and a few pigs, chickens, and rabbits back in hill country where land is cheap. But after they come to work on a ranch in the fertile Salinas Valley of California, their hopes, like the best laid schemes of mice and men, begin to go awry. This book is banned due to racial slurs and racist stereotypes. This book is also banned in Ireland. And now we've made it to our top most banned book of the last 30 some odd years. If you're still with me, thanks for hanging in there. And like I said, I was quite surprised to find that this was the top banned book. It was actually the #1 banned book in the 1990s. It slipped to number 7 in the early 2000s, slipped to number 24 from 2010 to 2019. But in general, this series of books apparently has staying power on the banned book list. Now I have to tell you, this series of books was one of my absolute favorite books growing up in the 1990s. And so I'm a little sad, but also maybe a little proud, a little bit of a rebel. And the top banned book over the last 3.5 decades or so is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz. And then we have more Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And finally, Scary Stories 3, More Tales to Chill Your Bones. Now these are not the original covers, unfortunately. These are a newer printing, but I think they do a pretty good job, at least on the surface, of demonstrating why this is one of the most banned books for public school libraries in the US. These books have little scary stories. They're only 2 or 3 pages long. Sometimes they are urban legends that have been, written down and kind of retold. Some of the titles themselves are just scary, but what really gets people are all of the sketches and images, which I love, by the way. This was one of my favorite series of books. And so you've got, just these wonderful sketches. I love them, but they're terrifying. They're terrifying. Can you imagine using this wheelchair? No, thank you. This looks like it belongs in an insane asylum that's haunted, very haunted. So some of the stories that are in here: The Big Toe, The Walk, Old Woman All Skin and Bone, The Girl Who Stood on a Grave, The Dead Man's Brains. So, as you can tell, just based on the story titles, these are dark stories, but they're not overly scary, honestly. They are meant for children. But the reason why this series of books is banned so often is that many parents feel that it's unsuited for the age group. It's references to violence, it's different religious viewpoint, and mentions of the occult. And they're just scary. They're so scary that my daughter actually put a Post-it note over what she thought was the scariest sketch at the time she was like 8. And in order to be able to have the book in her room and read the rest of the book, she had to cover it up. In case you're curious, that's what she covered up. The Thing. These stories are really good, and it probably does belong on a banned book list, maybe, but I think they're great. So that's it. Those are the top 25 banned books over the last few decades. I don't know about you, but like I said, there were a few surprises for me along the way. Were there any surprises for you? Were you caught off guard on any of these, or did you see all of these coming? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for hanging in there and listening to my entire list. I did the very best I could to be more objective versus subjective in this list. I used what I feel are hard enough numbers to produce this ranking. Let me know what you think. Just as a reminder, literature in general can foster empathy, understanding, and critical thinking. Reading banned books can challenge perspectives, promote dialogue, and contribute to societal progress. So I hope that you'll consider engaging with some of these banned books. I hope you'll explore some of the themes that they have and become active participants in shaping a more inclusive and just society. I think there's got to be a banned book on this list that speaks to everyone. So I challenge you to find a book or two on this list, pick it up, read it, and see if it makes you think. See if, it makes you re-examine your worldview or have empathy for a group of people that you wouldn't normally have had empathy for. I hope you enjoyed this list. I hope you pick up a book or two. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate the support. And if you're interested in another list that I put together recently, I did put together a list of 25 classic books I highly recommend you pick up this year, or any year, doesn't really matter. It's just 25 in 2025 sounded so catchy, you know? I hope you have a great day. Bye.